All right. Hello and welcome to Big Sky Bits. I'm your host, Colby. Today we're going to be going over what's going on in the world today in regards to Bitcoin. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm still going to make this relatively short. And I want to start by saying Bitcoin is your freedom ticket. It's your ticket to freedom, however you want to say that. And I honestly believe this. I mean, let's go back to the past and how I even got into Bitcoin. It was because of people trying to regulate my life in ways. I was a poker player online, and the government got rid of a lot of poker back in the day, especially some of the big online sites like PokerStars and other things. So that led me to go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole to look at what possibly could have been, or what I could do to keep playing the online poker the way I wanted to and make money. It led me to the Bitcoin rabbit hole. And well, that's good. My poker career pretty much died shortly after. I still play now and then, but to be honest, the game of poker's changed drastically since my early college days and back before Black Friday. So the poker game's evolved quite a bit, and I'll be honest, I'm just not as good as I used to be. The game's got a lot more technical. But regardless, that was what brought me into Bitcoin, so I'm very happy for that. And, well, I haven't really utilized Bitcoin in my life to change my station in life a ton, like some people I know have. Bitcoin has become that steady ground or stability in the back of my head that I know if things keep continuing the way they are in world politics in the world today, Bitcoin does seem like my insurance policy. Take that as what you will. Ask questions. Let me know how you feel about Bitcoin, because for most of my more current friends and people I meet these days, most people look at Bitcoin as just a get rich quick scheme or how to gamble, essentially. Most people are not looking at it as the protocol that will bring stability into the future. And I honestly think it will be. Right now, with all these different governments and different ideologies worldwide, it would be nice to have one unifying factor. And I think starting with the currency and the way we interact with each other, I can't think of a much better way to get this going. I originally always thought the mesh networks are an internet protocol that allowed people to escape censorship or authoritarianism would be the protocol that would tie the world together. But there were severe flaws in how do we get a mesh network, especially when the internet service providers today create such a seamless process and it's relatively cheap for what you're doing or what you get access to. But we're already seeing censorship with the internet, and some people would argue that's good. Some people would argue that's bad. Regardless, it allows certain individuals who are the gatekeepers of that censorship to have undue power. And we can go down this rabbit hole, as I've gone down in other videos, on how this will lead to a more free and better society. We can have that debate. I would love people to ask questions as to why you're doubtful or why you don't think this scenario could play out. But that's my thought, that's my opinion and my process, and that's why I'm here. I want to promote this, and I want to talk to some of the buttcoiners out there, the guys who hate Bitcoin. Let's talk about this. Let's see what your actual concerns are. Because when I go over to the Buttcoin Reddit, God, you only hear one or two guys continually regurgitating the same facts or same opinions that they've had that have been disproven. And most of the other arguments are made against altcoins, or like I like to call them, shit coins. And as we in the Bitcoin maximalist community say, Bitcoin is not crypto. Do not lump Bitcoin in with all this other garbage that's centralized and attempting to do nonsense and most likely rug pull you. So stay away from a lot of the garbage. If you want to play in it, treat it as gambling, and that's fine. Now, we're going to get on to the issues of today. And the big issue that I saw that most people aren't thinking is a big issue because they're only looking at surface level. Trump has some issues with the Office of Copyrights, and we'll actually go into that article real quick. We'll come back and look at the Bitcoin price and meme pool in a second. But let's just quickly jump into this. The Trump officials asked Supreme Court to allow firing of top copyright official. And this is an article by The Guardian, a source I don't really like or trust that much, but this same basic article's been distributed to many outlets and many people are reporting on it. The basic gist is that Trump's upset because of some of what the AI companies need. He's upset that the Copyright Office is slowing down those efforts or inhibiting them. And many people, especially when I go through Reddit and looked at some of this, a lot of people on the left are only criticizing Trump because they have a deep hatred for Trump, which I understand. I don't like a lot of his programs or other things or methods he does things, how he does them. But I would like to stay objective and look beyond a lot of these things because I believe both parties are horrible and actually they're more aligned together than we would like to think, and we are what they're dividing. We, the people, are the goal for they want to divide us to make their rise into politics easier and to continue the programs that they want to foster. And we see this time and time again, especially with, let's say, the Epstein files, which I think is one of Trump's biggest mess ups, is both sides seem to want that, but they only want it to the degree they want and at the time they want. And there definitely seems to be shady games going on. And you see that in all aspects of the government. But with this case, I have a large problem with IP and copyright laws. Now, as I'm trying to be a content creator, you would think I'd want my material copywritten or belong to me. That is not the case. I could care less if this makes $1. I could care less if any of my art makes $1. I don't make art to make money. I make art to please myself. I do it to please other people. I do it for the gratification of doing art. One day we'll go on a tour and I'll show you the little art studio we have here. I've done a lot of wood art. My kids are big into painting. We like to do these types of things. However, I believe artists, and many people will get very offended by this, I don't care. I believe artists, musicians, painters, all the types of artists are nothing more than the court jester. And we have put them on this pedestal when all they're meant to do is make us laugh, make us cry, make us happy, make us want to sing along. Whatever it is, they are just entertainers. And the fact that we have made these some of the highest paid, highest regarded individuals in society shows how far we have fallen and how far our admiration is misguided. I don't know how else to say this, but these people, their contributions are, let's say, minimal. I said it. Oh, you might be like, there's never going to be another Taylor Swift, a Bruce Springsteen, whoever your favorite artist might be. I don't like either of those, by the way. Regardless, they both have some good songs, but whatever. I don't believe the copyright system as we have it right now is fostering growth, helping our society in any way. And I think the biggest way to look at this is through the lens of the pharmaceutical companies. They are allowed to use these intellectual property rights and copyrights to screw over people on medication that could be easily created and distributed to people. Right now, all our copyright laws do is gatekeep information. And you're like, well, these people worked hard. They deserve royalties in perpetuity. Well, I don't believe that's true. All these inventions, all these creations, all this art is a culmination of that person's life, living in society, what they've been able to accomplish. And with true capitalism, which is what I will promote, I actually want to come up with a new term called benevolent capitalism. I don't know if that exists, but I believe real capitalism has a benevolent factor where people, good companies, actually want to help their customers, and it's a symbiotic relationship. In any good commerce, both sides should feel like they won. I wanted this object. I wanted to create this object to get money, and it should be a give and take relationship. Now, the IP laws have allowed people to manipulate and essentially gatekeep a lot of the important information that society would be able to work with. We're supposed to be able as a society to take some idea or invention, disassemble it, re-engineer it, create it anew, and offer a better product to society. But our copyright laws go so minute, they go so intense, and for so long that it is literally stifling innovation. Now, is Trump probably doing this only to help some of his rich tech friends in the AI businesses? Perhaps. Totally possible. But what getting rid of some of these copyrights will allow us to do is to take some of this information and use it in society without just allowing rich corporations to have a monopoly over information that they were able to create through other companies, through history, through this lived experience that we all are in. This did not appear to them out of the blue. This is a culmination of history and lives and years. And for us to allow even one company to just gatekeep some of this information so no one else can use it, I find very detrimental. And I think we can come up with a new way to do this. Now, is Trump's way or what he's doing good? Probably not. I don't know the exact details about how he's going after it, but I do know some of the people's knee-jerk reaction to just hating on this because it is Trump's idea. We really should have a discussion in society about what the implication of intellectual property rights or copyrights have on society. And is this what we really want? Because we have a collective knowledge and a collective good that as a society we create. And these companies, these people are not acting in vacuums. This information, once it's released to the public, I believe should be able to be reverse engineered, be able to be used in any way you see fit. And that'll be a discussion for another time. We've already probably spent way too much time on it. But leave some questions. Let me know what you think about our copyright system and how it can be improved, or if you think it's fine and we should not touch it. Give me some feedback. The next topic I wanted to quickly look over is the Bitcoin price. Ooh, looks like we just saw a nice dip. Let's go look at this 24-hour. Yeah, slipping in just the last couple hours from 115 to 112. Breaking a lot of this maybe resistance up here, but hopefully we find some kind of resistance around the 110, 111 range. But that's a sharp sell-off. That's kind of interesting how quickly that went. And we might have to look ahead for tomorrow's talk about why this sudden decrease. So that's the Bitcoin price today. We're seeing a bit of volatility. We saw a nice rise. What is this? That's 7-day, 24. Yeah, pretty big drop. So anyway, that's what's going on. We can take a quick look at some of the other things. Ethereum slipping below 4,000. XRP still holding in the mid twos. I thought by now we would be seeing XRP under $2. I think it'll go back to $1 relatively soon. The use cases are just not there. Let's have that debate if you're in a part of the XRP army. That would be fun. But I don't think anyone that watches this is part of that army. Solana, people were saying, has seen some good growth in the last little bit. Let's see. Mediocre growth. 10%, so 15%, nothing crazy. And it's taking a big hit as we look now. I don't believe in Solana either. I think it's another garbage protocol. Sorry. The decentralized nature of most of these programs is where they really come into question. Are you able to run a node? Are you able to verify things? Are you able to understand what's going on in the system or protocol without some third party telling you what's going on? So the prices, we're seeing a small dip recently. It does look like Bitcoin's dominance is still on the rise. We can see that in the orange down here. Well, Ethereum's getting squeezed shorter and shorter. Stable coins actually look like they're shrinking a hair too. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I expect Bitcoin dominance to keep rising. I think we've already seen a big shift in the trends, and we're seeing this nice trend upwards. So this little dip here might have been crypto or altcoin season. I don't know if that's true. Time will only tell. So with that in mind, let's head on over to the meme pool. Stuff's going through the Bitcoin network cheap, and I didn't see this yesterday either. Look at how many blocks are not being completely filled up. And this is one reason some advocates want more information on the Bitcoin to make the miners more incentivized. I don't know if that's the right way. I think a better way to look at this is that we're still early enough. We can onboard a lot of people. The Lightning Network is slowly taking a lot of the load off this. Off the main chain, and we're going to continue to see that. I saw an article here. We'll actually go to that next. Bitcoin still being used for payments, and the data proves it. This is an article by someone who works over at CoinGate, and it's very interesting. They've been a payment processor since 2014. I think I used them once. As some of the commenters down below talk about, most people have been using BitPay servers lately, and they both provide a decent product. I am more of the mindset of doing a lot of this without a payment processor, trying to find companies that accept Bitcoin natively. There are times when I want a product and I want to pay in Bitcoin. Very rarely that I have used some of these payment processors. I think a few years back I bought something from Newegg that was relatively cheap. Yeah. So, but going over what he's talking about, I don't know what crypto payments CoinGate takes these days. I don't know if they're taking Ethereum. I don't know if they're taking stable coins. But on their platform, at least 44% of all crypto payments are in Bitcoin. Now, one of the gambling sites I used, I did ask the operator that. He said one of the main ones they get used through their site was actually Litecoin. But I noticed they did promote Litecoin quite a bit as a method of use. They also accepted Ethereum, Bitcoin Lightning, and Bitcoin. And the operator did say the amount of Bitcoin Lightning payments was increasing quite a bit. So, Bitcoin remains the top payment method in 2025, accounting for 22.7% of all transactions. And there's something else to this. I've known a lot of friends who have had some of these shittier coins like Ethereum, and to be honest, they have no problem spending them. Doge, anything. People don't see quite the future they see in a lot of these projects like they do in Bitcoin. And maybe that goes down to the fact that I've never met an Ethereum, a Solana, a Doge maximalist. I've never met that individual that thinks this one other protocol is going to be great. Most of the time when they're into that, they're into all of those projects and could care less. Where Bitcoin maximalists have a pretty hard defined set of goals, prerogatives, and methods that we want for Bitcoin to achieve its goals. And I think we'll see this come to fruition. One thing I've preached over this last year of trying to do some videos is, and why I wanted to get into it this year, is because I've seen a lot of different content creators slowly switch from being altcoin bros, pitching everything in every exchange, to they might still be a little scammy, not quite as scammy as some of the people in the last bull run, BitBoy and others. We're seeing a lot more people advocate towards the maximalism, or that they'll make a mention that, oh, I hold 80% of mine in Bitcoin and just gamble with this other. And you're seeing that mentality quite a bit change, where in the last two previous bull runs, we saw a lot of people advocating that their new protocol was the one and only, was the coin or product that was going to fix what ails society, and a lot of these other things aren't needed. I think it's coming more to the realization that to a lot of people that this is all a form of gambling other than Bitcoin. Most of what we call crypto has serious fundamental issues. And I think a lot of his evidence goes to support this. 6% they said since 2018, 6% of the Bitcoin payments have been made Lightning, but this year 11.7. And I've seen that in my life experience as well, that the Lightning network is growing exponentially. Now, I did see some charts the other day that said the number of Bitcoins on the Lightning network has actually decreased a bit, but the overall value of the Bitcoins on the network has stayed relatively same. And as I've expressed in other videos, I do think we'll see various other implementations of things like the Lightning network becoming second and third layer solutions. So it's very interesting. He goes into some of the things people have purchased. I did find that was kind of interesting. Let's see. Yeah. Most people spend their Bitcoin on hosting, consumer services, and VPNs, where borderless payments matter most. So for some of these products that they're selling, certain countries, perhaps China or other countries, don't allow those products, and people have to circumvent that system, just as I had to with poker. And even though that didn't work out, it showed me the value proposition of Bitcoin. And so I would just like people to look into Bitcoin as a payment system. I mean, I've used it many thousands of times. Bitcoin is a very good tool for cross-border payments, uncensorable payments. Bitcoin honestly changes the paradigm. So with that, we'll go on to our last topic of our second last. I did want to mention gold real quick, but we'll first talk about France introduced a new reserve bill to purchase 2% of the Bitcoin supply. And it does look like their Congress, or what is it? The National Assembly of France is somewhat optimistic or receiving this with at least somewhat of a positive light. Their goal is to acquire 420,000 Bitcoin over the next 7 to 8 years. And I think this is really interesting. I think we'll see more nation states get into that. I think the country of Bhutan, who I would love to visit, really has made some great strides in showing what you can do. If you have power trapped somewhere, you can unleash that power with Bitcoin and improve your standings. With that, the last topic I wanted to quickly talk about was gold recently had one of its largest drops. I think it was the last, 3-4 days. Gold dropped close to about 10%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when gold's at 27 or so trillion, $30 trillion asset, losing 10%, some of the estimates put it at 2.43 trillion, was wiped off the gold market in about 3 days, 4 days, whatever. And that 2.43 trillion represents more money than the entire Bitcoin market cap. So some people might say that's scary. Some people might say, what does that mean? I think it means we are still early to this. If you look at the gold proposition versus the Bitcoin proposition, to me, it's a no-brainer. If I'm in a live or die situation, how much gold am I going to be able to cross national borders with without people trying to rob me, steal from me, whatever? How much gold can I stick up my, and try to sneak around people? Not very much. And then we have metal detectors. We have tons of ways to find that. With Bitcoin, you can either memorize, hide, a million ways. You can do so many things with Bitcoin that you can't do with other assets. So on that note, take a little more time to research what Bitcoin can do for you, how our copyright systems might be messing up the entire world economy, humanity's progress. I would just like to delve deeper into these issues. And if you like the content, please hit the like and subscribe button. And thank you for joining me here today on Big Sky Bits. And have a wonderful day.